Now let's go over to England, Exeter. We have a special guest joining us. It's no other than, earlier we mentioned his name, and incidentally, he's our guest today, African 100 meters record holder, Olusoji Fasuba. Olusoji, good morning. It's great to have you on the show.
Good morning. It's my pleasure being here this morning.
Fantastic. It's been a minute. How are you? How are you doing? What have you been up to?
Just been following athletics slowly, trying to see how we can help develop athletics back home because I think the state it's gotten was such a deplorable state, and I'm trying to bring it up back now so we can start getting the glory days back. It's more of our targets, to be honest.
Wow, very interesting that you haven't forgotten your people back in Nigeria. I mean, your retirement was quite, shocking for a lot of people. We didn't see it coming. You were still very young when you decided you weren't going to, you wanted to stop racing for Nigeria. What necessitated that decision?
Well, I think I looked at it and looked at from where I started and where I got to at that particular point, and I think it's something real. It made then there was really no much future for me in the sense that I kept running and all I kept doing was having to fight the federation at that time, or money I was not getting from the country to support. With all the laurels I was winning, I don't think it equated. In the long run, I just had to secure like a future for myself and my family, and that's why I decided to stop at such an early age because I realized I've achieved a lot. I've won the world indoors. I've gotten the Olympic medal. I've gotten the African record. I don't think there was anything more for in athletics for me. So I decided to look for greener pastures for myself and my family.
Wow, very interesting indeed. It was all about securing your future. I would just say upon reflection now, do you have any regrets?
Not at all. I'm quite happy with where I am at the moment now because I think I can say my family and I, we are free now. I'm free to actually try and play the politics of athletics to some extent, not being a major player, but be a sideline player to try and help. At this moment now, if I didn't retire now, I'll probably be still running for Nigeria and probably still be fighting for allowances.
Hang on for a few minutes. We need to go on this break. When we come back, we'll be getting you to talk on your African record has stood for 14 years now.
Welcome back. We still have Olusoji Fasuba on the show. And it was actually, Tara was about asking him his 100 meters record. We know that it was very close for Divine Oduduru to actually break that record. Yours is 9.85 seconds. He was able to run 9.86 seconds. That was really, really close. Do you think he's the man to actually, finally beat that record, maybe on international stage, because his was actually in school in the US?
Well, Divine still has a long way to go, in my own opinion, because he hit it in school, and school races are quite hard, and I do say that. But come to the professional world, that's a different ball game because you'll be running around everybody who knows the fact that you've got to run to eat. So it changes the whole game. So Divine just needs to run a few more races, and I believe he will be able to break it at some point.
That's interesting. I mean, it's going to be 14 years May, right? When you run, your race was like 2006. That's in May in Doha, Qatar. That was like how many years ago? So how soon do you think this record can be broken?
Well, the thing with records is you'll need a native doctor or a pastor to be able to tell you, oh, this is when it can happen, but it can never get there because of the fact is no one knows when these things happen. When I broke the African record, I didn't go in the race to think about an African record. I went in there thinking, all right, I've got to try and win the race. I've got to try and make some money. And when I saw what I did in the Eats, when I broke the Nigerian record there, then I knew I was going to go for the African record. So if Divine goes for the African record, he wouldn't get it. But if he goes in there to have fun in the race and realize, oh, all I've just got to do is win, he will get the record. So I say a couple of years because the guy from South Africa was closest with. What? Huh?
Okay.
All right, Olusoji, for a long time, Nigerian athletes, especially over the 100 meters, struggled to break the 10 seconds barrier. But over the last few months now, especially towards the end of last year. We've had a couple of athletes doing just that. Divine, one of them. There's also Raymond Kevo. How can they translate these fast times into podium finishes on the international stage as well as the Olympics?
Well, the way it works with athletics is with time you get the experience. So this lads is still young now, and the experience is what they really need now. And when they get those experience with time, they'll learn to plan their races. Because if you watch my stats during the time, in single races, I never did so well. But when it comes to championships, I was always peaking at the right time. So the coaches will be the one doing the work to make them peak at the right time. But at the same time, they've got to consider that at the moment, I'm looking at the way they fix the African championships, our national trials. If they don't fix it at the right time, this will not help the athletes transit into getting the medals at the championships, because athletes can only peak at a certain point in their of their career for that year. So I think it all has to do with how the national trials is placed, how the African trials will be placed, and that will help them get a better finish in international meets.
Interesting. Talking about having athletes to peak at the right time. Now, the Confederation of African Athletics just announced that the Senior Athletics Championship that was postponed to 2021 is going to be 1 month before the Olympics. What do you think? Is it going to be advantage or disadvantages for the athletes preparing for the Olympics?
When I saw that, I kind of felt it was going to be a disadvantage because of the fact that if the countries are going to do their national trials, the athletes are going to try and peak a little bit there, then having to go into the African Championship, then the World Championship. I think it's a bit too much, and I believe some of the top other African athletes may want to boycott that. It's just a thought on my own part. So I think for a fact, I think the CAF has to really think about what they've done, because a month to that is a bit too close for games like the Olympics, in my own views.
Okay, that's a great one. Before we let you go, I mean, just on Monday, we heard the sad news that, a coach that, of course, you know so well, passed on Sunday, talking about Coach Oduduru. What do you make of him? How much impact did he actually have in your life?
Well, if there's one person that I know that can make heaven, I think Coach Adu will be somebody I will say, because of the fact is he was the most gentlest of man I've ever seen. During my active days, he's been one of the coaches that has had to time me, and he never asked for anything in return. We try to do a little as much, but he's one coach that was not demanding. He's fatherly to the athletes. And also in my own views, I believe he's one of the true grassroots coach that we had in Nigeria. And unfortunately that he wasn't able to go with the national team. I think this is one team the current president of the federation, in name of Olumide George, should be able to look into, to try and see what can be done for him, for his family and stuff.
Yeah. Very sad indeed. Of course, rest in peace to Coach Remu. Before we let you go, finally now, Olusoji, you said at the start of the show that you're monitoring what's going on in the country, and you're trying to contribute your own little way to make the sport, get to where it's supposed to be. In terms of your contributions, are you looking to eventually go into the administration of track and field, or even coaching, because someone of your experience, I'm sure you have a lot to offer upcoming athletes?
Well, for me, I think I'm more of an advisory role is more what's suited for me, because, as I said, I did say I was going to try and go into the political part of athletics. I'm not really a politician or a key player in that aspect. I just have the knowledge, and the knowledge is what I really want to impact. So there are lots of athletes I've been mentoring, cash-wise, training tips as well. This is the kind of role I want to try and play. And when it comes to the federation, try and assist and say some things that can try and push them in the right direction. Because at the moment, we all know of the tussles that is currently going on in athletics. And I don't think this is, at this stage in Nigerian athletics, we shouldn't be at that level. We should be at a level that we know what we want and what we are going to achieve. But unfortunately, we are not there now. I think this is where my voice, I'm trying to use my voice to try and steer us into that direction.
Wow, thank you very much, Olusoji Fasuba, for taking out time to talk to us on sport this morning. Continue to enjoy the rest of your day. Continue to stay safe. And hopefully we get back to you very soon.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.